Well, Repeople means to repopulate. Our mission over the last 8 years has been to repopulate the Canary Islands with a pool of talented individuals from all over the world for a temporary visit, or be it for to become new permanent residents of the Canary Islands. We believe that it's very important for everyone to test it out for themselves, not to just listen to what we have to say about our destination, but to actually experience it for ourselves. So we're just trying to make it easy for people from all over the world to visit the Canary Islands, test it out, and have their own experience.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Remotely Serious. I'm here with Nacho Rodriguez, the founder of Repeople. And Nacho, I think I've probably actually seen you in person, but I don't know if we've ever said hi, but I've seen you at Running Remote. I wasn't there this year, but I was there last year. And you've certainly grown as an influencer, although I know that you're a founder, you got a lot going on. But I've just seen you, and I probably heard you on several podcast episodes being interviewed. So it's an honor to have you on Remotely Serious for the first time.
Thank you, Curtis. The honor is mine.
Now, I actually want to jump right in. I saw an announcement that there was a co-living experience that looked really unique. And I saw Gonzalo Hall announce it, and then I noticed that Repeople was kind of a partner on that. And I'm just wondering, I know like we've actually kind of jumped on this podcast really quickly. I just DM'd you on X and you said yes. So you almost don't know what questions I'm going to ask you, although I emailed you a few tonight. But I wanted to jump in there and see, is there anything you can say about this new co-living concept, how you got involved with it, and how the location was chosen for Fitness Coliving?
Of course. Me and Gonzalo have been friends for a couple of years now. We hosted him in one of our co-livings here in Gran Canaria a while ago, and ever since we've been actively collaborating. I've invited them to join some of our events and conferences. I've joined some of his events and conferences, and again, we've been actively in touch. And a couple of months ago, we were talking, and we were like, "Well, I'm thinking about coming back to the Canary Islands, and I'm thinking about getting back in shape because I've been traveling a lot, and I haven't been able to really stay up to my fitness agenda." And we were like, "Well, we're looking to do something different," and we came together with the idea of organizing a full month of fitness co-living. Where we'll be hosting in one of our co-livings here in Las Palmas a group of remote workers who are interested in fitness, and we're preparing a full program of activities during the whole month where you could be able to work remotely, but also have a clear, structured fitness plan in an amazing gym. And also we'll be doing some things outdoors at the beach. We'll be doing some beach volleyball, some surf, some paddle surf, some hiking. So at the end, a whole month of activities with a like-minded group of people and remote workers, and test it out, because I think that the idea makes a lot of sense. And we just want to see how it goes and build up from there.
So maybe for listeners that have never been to Spain, maybe never been to Europe, never been to the islands, where in the world is this Fitness Co-living, which is in August of this year, right? We're recording in the spring, but this is in August of 2024.
Correct. So Repeople is based in the Canary Islands. The Canary Islands are an archipelago that is actually off the coast from Morocco, but it's part of Spain. And yeah, we're like 2 hour flight from Madrid, just as a reference. And yeah, we there's 8 islands. We are in Gran Canaria, which is one of the main islands, and Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, which is the capital of Gran Canaria, has been a hub for digital nomads and remote workers all the way back to 2015, when it was actually featured in the cover of New York Times. When
Wow.
the early days of digital nomadism. That's approximately the same dates where Nomad List started, as a reference for the listeners. So ever since, Las Palmas has been a hub. We are the southernmost part of Europe. Therefore, the warm part of Europe, particularly during the winter. But interestingly enough, our summers are also very mild, so it doesn't get very hot, which also more and more it's attracting a lot of nomads also in the summer. And this is why we decided to check out if this fitness experience will fit this summer, and hopefully we'll repeat it more times during the year.
So you're south, the most south of Europe, south of Madeira, south of Mallorca, south of Corsica, south of everything. Does that mean that it's going to be blazing hot in August? Is this like 35-degree weather every day? What should people expect?
That's the interesting fact that I mentioned. We have mild weather all year round. So we
Hmm.
have very warm winters, and we have very mild summers because of the location where we are based. It's not tropical weather, but it's in between. And you can expect average temperatures of 26 degrees Celsius in the summer, but in the winter is 24 or 23. So at the end, the difference is not very high. Therefore, it's great climate all year round.
And what is the actual setting of this? So you've been in co-living for a long time. Where are people stay? Where can people stay? Must they stay in a certain area, or can they get their own accommodations? How are you handling people coming and staying for this fitness co-living for the month?
So just to start, we launched a full package where we cover both accommodation and all the trainings. And we have chosen one of the co-living locations that it's actually a 9 bedroom villa in one of the best parts of Las Palmas. It's a beautiful neighborhood right in the city center, at walking distance of the beach gym, which is an amazing facility that will cover most of the activities that we will organize. And again, will all the participants will get accommodation in the co-living. Therefore, the co-livings will also organize community activities, dinners, and then the gym at walking distance, and the beach is also at walking distance. So everything logistically very easy. Depending on the demand, we have several locations also in the same neighborhood. So we will probably make some additional houses available. And depending on the demand, we already received a bunch of requests to join the program as it is. But if there are some people who want to just attend some of the activities and they want to find an accommodation somewhere else, we might be open for that. We haven't thought about it yet, but yeah, I think that we could be flexible enough to allow people just to join the activities and not the accommodation.
That's great. I'm glad we could jump in and kind of get the details on this, but I'm actually kind of just curious now to sort of step back a bit. Have you done month long, let's say non-fitness, just regular nomad co-living experiences? I know you got the whole co-living brand. What's your experience, and what made you think like this particular fitness co-living was the right time? Is it from past successes of running month-long programs? Because I see a lot of them. I won't name all of them around the world, but there's the various nomad trips, and so I'm curious what you think about that whole industry and your experience running nomad. I call them workations, co-living experiences. There's probably different names for them.
Just as you brought it up, we've partnered with pretty much everyone who's been in the industry for a while. For example, this week we are hosting Remote Year in one of our co-livings. In August, we'll be also hosting Wi-Fi Tribe in one of our co-livings. We've hosted Hacker Paradise, and there's like probably 4 or 5 different programs that we've hosted in our co-livings, because we understand what travel groups of remote workers need in terms of the facilities, in terms of making sure that everything is sort of like plug and play for them. And therefore, we've been experimenting, not only partnering with others, programs, successful programs that organize travel around the world, but also testing our own little projects like like this fitness plan in collaboration with Nomad X and Gonzalo Hall.
And what exactly is Repeople? Is it the physical places? Is it a Slack and Discord community? Is it a resource for finding different co-living places, how would you describe what the assets or value or mission of the company is for someone that's kind of encountering it for the first time listening to this?
So as repeople means to repopulate. The brand and the name, it's connected a little bit with our mission. Our mission over the last 8 years has been to repopulate the Canary Islands with a pool of talented individuals from all over the world. Be it for a temporary visit, or be it for to become new permanent residents of the Canary Islands. This is our main goal. And in order to achieve this goal, we believe that it's very important for everyone to test it out for themselves, not to just listen to what we have to say about our destination, but to actually experience it for ourselves. So and we're just trying to make it easy for people from all over the world to visit the Canary Islands, test it out, and have their own experience. So we run our own facilities. Right now we have about eight different co-living locations that we fully operate ourselves. We don't just act as resellers or recommendations, because we believe that this industry is very new, and we have a wide experience. Our first ever co-living was open in 2016, so it was already a while ago, and we understand the dynamics and understand what makes it different, right? So therefore, we like to run it ourselves as of now. Maybe in the future we'll also partner with other co-living locations. We also run co-working spaces. We understand co-working spaces and flex workspaces are also an important part of the puzzle, an important part of the ecosystem that makes the Canary Islands special, right? And third, and also important, we also host regular events and conference around the topic of remote work. Some lifestyle conference. Last year we organized a very fun 3 week long conference or festival almost, where we had a lot of activities planned, and really built up a very strong community focused event, because we really think that the Canary Islands is one of the best locations in the world to work remotely from, and for all those people who have the freedom to choose where they want to live. We want to make sure that they discover it and discover it from themselves, and this is what we are working on.
Nacho, I was just thinking about you saying repopulating, and I've heard Gonzalo say digital nomads don't necessarily want to repopulate and settle by the nature of being nomads. They may want to go somewhere and then somewhere else and then somewhere else. Um, in terms of your philosophy, when you think about repopulating, do you want or expect people to come for 4 weeks and then go away? Or is there a part of you, whether yourself or in partnership with any local stakeholders, where there's an explicit mission to try and get people to stay, maybe make Canary Islands their permanent home? Many destinations are trying this. Take a taste of the nomad visa, come for a month, and then maybe the government or some stakeholder or the local community wants you to stay longer. How do you think about attracting nomads versus trying to even attract people forever or for a long time?
Well, I think from our experience, I think it's a process. I think, I mean, I've known digital nomads for a long time, and I've seen people going through different stages among the digital nomads journey, right? I've known a few who are, digital nomads for 10 years, and they don't plan to change their lifestyle at all. So again, they're nomads. But I've known a lot also that enjoyed digital nomadism for a while, discovered different places or enough places around the world, and then they started to settle a bit, or at least have a place to go back to, right? And when I think about my own personal experience, I was born and raised in the Canary Islands, but then I traveled enough around the world to realize that I really loved it back home. So I decided to come back. And again, as part of this process, I think it's important to actually work with both groups. If I had to choose, I'm more keen on attracting remote workers, so people who relocate and stay permanently, or at least a big part of the year here, because I believe that they are the ones who make more positive impact on our community. But I think that attracting digital nomads, it's also part of the game, so to say. If you want to also attract remote workers, because digital nomads will eventually, at some point, at least part of them, become remote workers too.
I am glad you told us that you're from there. I think that's a good part of the story. I'm just thinking about you being from there, and it's a beautiful place. It's already known as a vacation destination and recognized very early on, like you mentioned in 2015. So you've got a lot of advantages, and I think that's great as an entrepreneur, someone who's building something. You want to go where you have advantages. I'm not sure if you've ever talked to anyone that's maybe trying to do the same thing somewhere that doesn't have all the advantages. If we think about an Italian town in the middle of Italy, not near the beach, not on an island, not in a famous vacation destination. And they're saying, oh, we have depopulation in, let's just say, a nice village up a hill, maybe on a mountain, in a plain, in the middle of Italy. But it's not necessarily around amenities. The people have left. They're trying to sell the houses for €1. Do you have any advice, or do you think the same kind of repopulation can work maybe somewhere that's not starting with as many advantages and needs to build from not nothing because it's beautiful, it's sunny, it's the middle of Italy, but there's these areas where they probably want to do the same thing. How would you help people like that in, the middle of Italy or the middle of Spain or places like that?
Curtis, I think it's very simple. I think that it could work anywhere as long as you are true to the real nature of that particular location. If you try to sell that your location is something else, people will realize, and they will eventually come and go, right? But if you build
Mhm.
something that makes sense and that it's connected to the true nature of the destination, it will eventually attract the right kind of people who are actually looking for that. And I think that there are people that are looking for all kinds of different locations. I don't think that everybody loves being on a city, even though it's a surf city like Las Palmas. We have a beautiful urban beach. But I understand that there's a lot of people who don't want to live in a city with 400,000 inhabitants, even though it has a beautiful beach, because they might like to live in the middle of nature. And that's totally fine. But we're not trying to attract to Las Palmas people who are, in love with nature and want to live in a very quiet place, because that's not what Las Palmas is. So again, back to your question, as long as people portray the true natural values of a destination, they will attract the right kind of people at a different scale. Obviously, I don't expect, even within Gran Canaria, there's locations that are totally different from Las Palmas, but the main community, the big group of remote workers, is based in Las Palmas. But particularly because in the other locations that are more in the forest, or more like in the natural reserves within the island, they're not looking to be surrounded by thousands of people. They are happy enough with a small enough group of people that they can call community, and that's what they expect. So again, just being true to the nature of the destination should do it for everyone.
Do you work with the city governments of Las Palmas, the regional government of the overall islands, or the Spanish government in any way in order to deliver the experience that you do, or is it completely private how you've pursued this?
So our project is 100% private, but we've been collaborating actively throughout the years with the government. But I do believe that it's very important. When you look at it with the long term vision, that the project is sustainable by itself, or that it's a group of entrepreneurs that are pushing it for different motivations. Because governments come and go. And my own experience is that whenever you depend on the government for something, then things slow down, and they just don't go at the right pace that you need. I'm not saying I'm against government support. I think it's useful, and there are programs that are very successful around the world with a lot of government support. But in our own experience, we've tried to find the right balance. Probably at the beginning, that it's more important to have the support, But once you get it going, then it's much better if it's driven by the private sector.
Are there any other projects like this that you've encountered in other parts of the world that compare to what you've done on the Canary Islands? Anything in Asia, anything around the world? It seems like this is definitely one of the most prominent, if not the most prominent, cluster of co-living opportunities in one beautiful place.
Hmm.
Have you seen anything comparable?
Well, to be honest, I'm a huge fan of Tulsa Remote as a program, and what they have achieved and the vision that they have launched since 2018, which is when they started. Again, you mentioned before, can you bring people to different locations? Probably Tulsa wasn't the place that a lot of people would choose if there wasn't a group of people leading a very interesting project like this, and obviously with a good amount of support behind it. But I really like their vision and how they have accomplished a lot of great goals. I don't think it's fully comparable to what we're doing, but we've picked up a lot of ideas on the things that they have done successfully.
I'm just thinking about Tulsa, and I'm Canadian, and so I know that it would be cool for me to go to Tulsa, but in the North American context, I've done this before. I lived in New York for some time, but it was very complicated for me to get a work visa. And the USA, among many nations, is starting to be unique in that it doesn't have a easy digital nomad visa. Although there are other visas that people can get to come to the USA. So one barrier for me going to Tulsa as a Canadian is that I have to figure out my visa. It's nicer in Europe because many people from many countries can move around the EU. So I'm just curious, what's the ratio breakdown of people that come to the Canary Islands and stay in your co-living experiences? Is it mostly Europeans? Do you see many North Americans or people from Asia or Africa or elsewhere?
We received over the last 3 4 years a huge amount of North Americans and Canadians.
Hmm.
Also, the fact that there is now a direct flight to Newark, to Tenerife, which is one of the main islands in the Canary Islands, also might be also helping a lot because it's an easy connection. I think it's a direct flight. It's like a 6.5 or 7 hour flight. Again, with the restrictions that Canadians and Americans have in Europe, which is the 3 month long stay. Northern Europeans, Eastern Europeans are also the other two big groups of people that visit us recurrently. Asia, not as common. Africa, interestingly enough, not as common, even though we are very close. We're only 100 miles away from the west coast of Africa. And yeah, the rest of the world is just very very tiny bits. But yeah, northern and eastern Europe and northern America.
Do you feel any friendly competition with Ponta do Sol, Funchal, Madeira, Lisbon, even the south of Spain? Do you feel friendly competition from similar nearby areas? I say similar just because I know they can be quite different, but for people coming from North America, it's all kind of the Iberian Peninsula and the islands. You can seem the same in the mind, even though I know there's a lot of variety. But do you try and distinguish what's unique about the Canary Islands versus something that's 300 miles away, or is it all in good fun and everybody can kind of go where they need to?
Again, I think it's all a matter of staying true and portraying exactly what you are and what are the values of your destination, more than trying to compare or compete with other destinations. The interesting fact is that we've started working with the Canary Islands while before some other destinations understood that this was an opportunity and jumped in. So we're a little bit ahead of the game, but also now are also enjoying the competition because at the end we envision that uh, some locations that share a lot of common values, like the Canary Islands share with Madeira. Some of the Western islands in the Canary Islands, like La Palma, are very, very similar to Madeira. So I think that the more we portray and work trying to attract the right kind of people to our archipelagos, the better for both. Because at the end, we are small archipelagos. We don't need a whole ton of people, and probably can't afford to host way too many people. And this is something that we are actively working with, and to make sure that we are doing things in a sustainable way, and we don't make the same errors as the, the traditional tourism industry made in the past, relying on volume and huge volume. We care more about quality and sustainability in terms of the amount of visitors. Therefore, the good work they do also benefits us. I believe, because if
Hmm.
people come from Madeira, they're very likely, particularly nomads, to hop onto the Canary Islands and also discover the Canary Islands, and they might like either one better. But the fact that someone did the good job attracting them, it's better for both.
Is there someone, or is there some kind of archetype where there's a certain kind of person that goes to the Canary Islands, whether it's surfers or people with remote jobs who want to work a good 40-hour week, or the most hustling entrepreneurs that want to work a 100-hour week, amongst other entrepreneurs, nature lovers? Is there a certain type of person you think this is perfect? This is the kind of person you're gonna fit, and you're gonna find your people here. Have you noticed any patterns?
Well, the interesting thing about, for example, Gran Canaria, we call Gran Canaria a miniature continent. And just so you have an idea of size, you can drive from north to south of Gran Canaria, and Gran Canaria is quite round, in 45 minutes.
Wow.
So it's tiny compared to any other destination around the world. But you can find all kinds of different microclimates and totally different environments in the island. Starting from Las Palmas, which is the fifth or sixth largest capital city in Spain. So you can find anything that you will find in a large city. With the twist of being a surf city, there's three beaches in Las Palmas, just in the city. So this urban surf lifestyle, people enjoy it a lot, because it's sort of like big city but laid back and also open to nature. But then from Las Palmas, you can find beautiful hikes in the center of the island that are 30 minutes away. Or you can go to the south, which is where more of the traditional tourism industry is located, but still, discover beautiful environments like the sand dunes of Maspalomas. So
Oh, wow.
again, in a very short space, you can have all kinds of different experiences. And this is attracting obviously different people. If you like to snowboard, don't come to Gran Canaria. We don't have any ski resorts. But any everybody else, if you like hiking, mountain biking, cycling, waters, all kinds of water sports, nature, city life, et cetera, you can find it in Gran Canaria. So we are attracting a large group of individuals with different interests, which is kind of cool. But again, if we had to choose, we really enjoy, and this is connected to our strategy, to attract people that have an entrepreneurial mind. Because
Mhm.
again, we are focusing on attracting people and retaining these talented individuals, because we want to create a positive socioeconomic impact with the people that visit us. So if they have an entrepreneur mind, they come, they connect with the local ecosystem, they might start a new business, or joint venture with another company, or whatever, or just share ideas, or maybe hire locals to join whatever projects they're in. So this is also part of our mission. So we really enjoy, and I think that a lot of people who visit us also have this entrepreneur mind, that we really like, and it's also really nice to see the community getting together and building things together, and this is what we're trying to
Yeah.
encourage.
Awesome. Well, just as we wrap up here, I had some rapid fire questions, Nacho. Just one. So, bringing it back to Fitness Co-Living, that's in August. I think I saw on the website, this isn't just outdoor push-ups and burpees. There is actually a gym facility. I think there's a video about it. Do I have that right?
Yes, correct. We
Yeah.
have an amazing gym that it's part of the package, full access to the gym facilities. But we're not only doing things in the gym, even though this gym also has outdoor space. but we'll be
Hmm.
also organizing stuff outdoors like beach volleyball sessions, surf classes, paddle surf, also at the beach, and hikes to as part of the program.
That's amazing. That sounds that sounds like a great mix. And then just for any North American listeners, language on Gran Canary. If someone's learned Spanish in Mexico or Costa Rica, is it Castellano Spanish? Is there a regional Spanish or other language there? How can people bring their Spanish to Gran Canaria, and what should they expect? Will they be understood if they know Tico Spanish or Mexican
Yeah.
Spanish on Gran Canaria?
Well, interestingly, the Canary Islands, even though we are part of Spain, our accent is really close to Chilean or Cuban or
Okay.
Venezuelan, because the Canary Islanders actually emigrated to the Caribbean and to South America, a bunch of decades ago. So there's a deep connection with Latin America, and our accent is actually closer to Latin America than to mainland Spain.
Okay, so people might be able to expect slightly more Caribbean than Madrid
Exactly.
mainland Spain. Great, perfect. Is there anything else you want to say about Gran Canaria or the Fitness Co-living that's coming up in August?
Well, for those interested in Fitness Coliving, it's fitnesscoliving.com. Just join us in
Yeah,
August if you can. And regarding our facilities in Gran Canaria, all the rest of the colivings, they're under our brand repeople.co. They can find a lot more information about all the services that we provide, and all our network of coliving and co-working spaces. So we're happy to welcome them to the Canary Islands.
perfect. Thanks, Nacho, for jumping on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Curtis.
This is another episode of Remotely Serious, and hopefully we'll see everybody on Gran Canaria. Do you say? I know it's probably in Spanish. Do you say in or on Gran Canaria in English? Do you
On
know?
Gran Canaria, I guess.
On Gran Canaria. Okay, I'm from an island. I'm from Vancouver Island in Canada, so I have to think about that sometimes. All right, one last grammar tip before we close out. Thanks everybody. This is Remotely Serious.